Hey, how you doing? Welcome to My Vegas Interview Time. We're in the green room here at My Vegas Magazine. My name is Mark Allen. I am the publisher of My Vegas and the soon-coming My Nashville. We'll talk a little bit about that. I want to introduce to you my guest here today, the amazing, unbelievable Mr. Justin Carter. That's Carter with a
Carter
D.
with a D.
With a D. Make
Thank
sure
you for
a
having
D.
me.
A D. So make sure you know that. So I remember I heard that, Justin. We're going to find out a little bit about Justin here and talk to him about his music. His where he's been, where he's going, and all the fun stuff, and find out more about Justin. And he'll be you can read all about it in My Vegas Magazine as well as watching this interview. But Justin, I met you at the was the Mandalay Bay about a couple months ago, and they invited you up, or you were already performing there at the
Nashville Unplugged.
Nashville
show.
Unplugged.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. He was up there, and just one I focused on a lot. I was watching all the guys, but when I went, but you have your own style. It's so cool and so unique.
I'll be sure to remind the other guys that you said that.
Well, yeah, they
So
all
I
do,
rub it in a little
but
bit,
something about yours, just like I went, wow, that cat is like amazing. You guys got to hear him. You got to hear him play and sing. It's just amazing. Just something you don't. It's just not your typical. It's Nashville Unplugged. It insinuates country, obviously.
Sure.
It lends to the country vibe, and but yours was country with soul.
I'll take it.
It was some
man.
sort of
That's-
it was like
that's the goal.
it was like a
Country soul,
fusion.
man.
I was
Yeah.
feeling a little fusion from you.
Yeah.
That's all. That's how I can put it best. But Nashville Unplugged is a favorite show of us here at My Vegas Magazine. We like to go a lot and hang out with them, and we're actually getting some of the other guys in here. What's his name? The bottom runs the whole thing.
Aaron Benward is
Aaron
the host
Benward.
of Nashville Unplugged.
Yeah, he'll be here one day. We're going to do some stuff with him and get him in town.
Yeah,
But
he's great. He's a good buddy of mine, and responsible for bringing in a lot of great songwriters from Nashville into
he
Las
is.
Vegas. Yeah.
Why don't you start off by explaining to us what Nashville Unplugged is all about?
Well, I met Aaron, it's probably been a year ago now. I've been playing a residency in the House of Blues in Mandalay Bay for probably 4 or 5 years. I'll be there every Sunday. And I met Aaron and got to talking about a TV show that we both had a song on. And we kind of became pals, and he started inviting me to come be a part of the show. So I've sat in on that show probably 6, 7, 8 times now in the last year.
In the last year?
Yeah.
And how did you meet Aaron?
I met Aaron at an Irish pub in Mandalay Bay called Reraw.
Okay.
And there's an Irish duo that plays there every Sunday night, or every weekend, I guess. And their names are Dave and Dave, two guys from Ireland. And they sort of introduced us. They said, man, you guys, if you don't know each other, you should know each other.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's sort of
All right.
how it came about. And then we got to talking, both of us being Southern boys. I think Aaron's from Houston, Texas. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. Started talking about, just our musical history, and then realized that we both have a song. He's got a few songs on a Netflix TV show called The Ranch. And so we kind of connected in that regard. And then he started inviting me to come be a part of the show. So I've been fortunate, and I've been able to sit on stage with not only Aaron, but guys like Travis Howard, who's written songs for Miranda Lambert, Dierks Bentley, Danny Myrick, who's written for Tim McGraw, and Jason Aldean. I sat on stage with Earl Budley, who wrote "Friends in Low Places" for Garth Brooks. Yeah, so it's been a great experience for me, little old boy from Little Rock. So
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
Oh
I've been
man,
enjoying
that's
it.
hot.
Yeah.
Did they get to hear you perform before they invited you on their stage?
They did. They came one night to, I believe, to House of Blues and saw me doing just kind of what they do, a solo acoustic gig. And I played a couple of my original tunes that night while they were there, and it was a done deal after that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. So Nashville Unplugged is about the songwriters.
Yeah, they call it the story behind the song. So, I mean, many people probably aren't aware that when you're listening to a Miranda Lambert or a Dierks Bentley or Thomas Rhett or whoever, that not a lot of them write their own songs. And there's guys that are behind the scenes, the songwriters, that they write these songs, record them, and pitch them to the artists, and the artists pick them up and put them on their album. And so Aaron brings those guys in, the songwriters, and they call it Nashville Unplugged, the story behind the song.
Yeah,
So you get to kind of hear a bit of the history of how the song was written, how they got it to the artist.
Right.
It's a cool thing to
Well,
see.
and I think everybody knows "Friends in Low Places." Even the pop culture knows about that song. Everybody knows that one, and they know it as Garth Brooks.
Sure.
But they didn't know that who wrote it.
Earl Bud Lee.
Earl Bud Lee
Yeah.
wrote it, and
Apparently wrote it at some bar in Nashville and wrote it on bar napkins.
I like to call them the unsung heroes.
Yeah, man.
The unsung heroes, because these guys wrote the songs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they deserve some credit too.
Yeah, well,
That's
hopefully
fun.
you can be a guy like like Chris Stapleton, who wrote a bunch of hits for artists and then blossomed into having
His
a
own.
pretty phenomenal career in the country music business now. So,
And that's what Old Dominion's doing.
yeah,
Now
those
they're
guys are
coming out
great,
like
too.
crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
I went and saw Old Dominion at House of Blues, and they're playing all these other people's songs. I'm like, well, what's up with that? But then I started listening. He said, here's another one we wrote for so and so, and so.
Yeah.
They wrote all these for.
Yeah.
They were playing their own songs.
You be careful. They think you're going to see a cover band, but these guys wrote these tunes.
They
yeah.
actually wrote it right, and now all the new stuff they're coming out with, I'm just really happy for them too.
Yeah, I like their sound.
Good stuff, good stuff. Speaking of sounds, though, you've got a sound of your own. Is it? You go back. You're not Nashville. You're from
Little Rock,
Arkansas, which is you're a good old Southern boy, I reckon.
Good old Southern boy. I say there's a difference, man. People say, "Oh, he's a country boy." So I'm a Southern boy. I grew up like 5 minutes from downtown Little Rock, so I'm like a Southern city boy. But yeah, I mean, I grew up. My parents were both musicians. My mother was a classically trained pianist. My father was a multi-instrumentalist, plays drums, guitar, bass, keys. They all sing.
Wow.
So I grew up. My first gig was church in Little Rock. And my parents. My mother was the pianist. My father was the musical director and lead singer, I guess, if you will.
Wow.
And as soon as I was shown any promise on playing instruments, I played drums and guitar and bass. I got drafted. So
Wow.
so I started playing in church when I was probably, as early as 10, 11, playing in the church band in Little
Wow.
Rock, Arkansas. So that's kind of where I started developing my skill set. And then being in a town like Little Rock, you're more close to Memphis, Tennessee, obviously close to Nashville. There's a lot of good musical culture. So yes, we've known for country music down there, but blues and soul and R&B and rock and roll. So I think what I try to do is sort of smash all that together
And it's working. Yeah, it's
make it
working
my
really
own.
good.
Yeah,
What? So it started in Little Rock,
yeah.
and
Little
then
Rock, Arkansas.
tell us about like from the teens. What happened in your teens to the 20s?
Well, again, I played in church from the time I was, like I said, 10 or 11 till I was old enough to not have to go to church anymore. When I moved out of my parents' house.
Right. That's what happens.
Where it wasn't a requirement anymore.
Wasn't a requirement,
But,
that's perfect, yeah.
But I found my way into some kind of my first, live band music experience. It was kind of like hard rock type stuff.
Okay.
I was playing drums. I remember being 16 is when I officially became a professional musician, signed on an independent record deal and started going on tour with guys that were like 10 years older than me. I'd be
Wow.
in high school in 11th grade Monday through Thursday and take off Friday and come back Sunday, from
Wow.
playing gigs. And from there I played in several different bands. I toured all over America up into my, mid to late 20s. Played with a lot of more rock and roll stuff kind of early in my musical career. Played with some of the guys from a band called Evanescence. Played with a Dallas-based group called The Feds that was signed on an indie label called Tribunal Records. And I played probably in a handful of years, probably played, 44, 45 states in America.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. So then, rock and roll. Let's touch on that for a second here on the rock and roll part. What were some what type of rock and roll? There's.
The stuff that we were doing, back with the Evanescence guy was kind of, I guess at the time you would call it modern rock. It would fall in the genres of like, I don't know, 3 Days Grace and Chevelle and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But one thing that I realized quickly from playing in a lot of those kind of bands and recording my vocals on some of the EPs was, I got a southern accent. I can't turn this off. So he was like, man, he's got like a good grit to his voice, but he's got a little twang too, man. Like you should look at trying to do some country music.
Who told you that?
I had several people tell me that
really?
along the way coming up. And I always, growing up in Little Rock, I say this all the time. I say this on the stage at Nashville Unplugged. Growing up as a kid in a town like Little Rock and getting into your teens and starting to experience a little bit of that, going on the road and seeing other cities and then having to go back to Little Rock, it's like, man, I couldn't wait to get out of there, Then I moved out here at 26 years old in 2008. There's my age. Do the math on that,
Okay.
right?
Busted.
But after having lived here, I've lived here for 11 years. And in that time, I've got such a new appreciation of where I'm from, the culture and the music and the people that it really had a huge influence on who I am as a musician and how I sing and the things that I sing about. You know, so definitely appreciate it a lot more now that I don't live there than as compared to when I did.
Sure, yeah. What about the, you said drums?
Yeah.
But I met you, I didn't know that. I just saw you on the guitar. So
Yeah.
how many instruments do you play?
I don't know.
Are you-
I mean,
you
I might be able to play more than I realize that I can.
It sounds like a family, like a genetic thing. You said your grandpa or somebody was playing a bunch of instruments?
I'm not quite sure, but the grandparents, they weren't around much as far as,
Was your dad somebody-
but my dad and my
your
mom
dad?
both. But yeah, in the house growing up, I mean, for the time I was 5, 6 years old, we had a drum set, a piano, guitars, a bass guitar. So I play all those.
All of it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I've been doing it for a long, long time. So.
But obviously guitars sounds like your fave.
I mean, I sat behind a drum set, for different bands. I played for some great bands too, and I played in other bands that I just was kind of sitting back there going, man, I think I can do a better job from up there than I can from back here. I mean, I'm confident and very proficient in my drumming skills, but I like being up front, and I like being the entertainer, talking to the people.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Now there's a whole bunch of places we're playing here, I'm sure, and in Vegas. Well, I want to talk about the Vegas years too coming up, but we'll do that in our next segment. Let's go ahead and take a little pause for the cause right now. We'll take a little break, and we'll be right back with Justin Carter with a D.
All right.
Mark here with My Vegas Magazine, and along with Justin Carter, Mr. Music Man, Mr. The soulful country sound he's got. We're going to hear some of that coming up in a little bit, but this is part 2, and we're going to talk about now the Vegas years. So you got to Vegas in 2008
2008. Yeah.
from Little Rock.
From Little Rock. And at the time when I moved out here, I'd been playing in this Dallas-based band called The Feds. And I just started with them, and I'd just come off the road with the Evanescence people. And I'd been on tour with them for a while. That band was called Machina. It was the guitarist from Evanescence. And I found myself like sitting behind a desk again in Little Rock, working a 9 to 5, and told myself, I got to get out of here, man. And long story short, I was going to move to LA. My oldest sister was living here and convinced me to come out here, and she let me stay with her for free while I was sorting out. She said it's only a 4-hour drive or a 1-hour flight to LA. But when I got here, I was still playing in the Feds that was based in Dallas, so I kind of set my stuff here, would hop on a flight back to Dallas, go on the road with them, fly back here, kind of hang and wait for the next tour. And that band ended up splitting up. And after that, I had met a music producer here in Vegas, a guy named, he goes by Bonsai, James Bonsai Caruso.
Okay.
And Bonsai moved out here about the same time as I did in 2008 from New York City. And he's a 5-time Grammy winner, I think. He's got Grammys for mixing Damien and Stephen Marley records. He's worked with Alicia Keys, Madonna, David Bowie, Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow. And he lives here in Vegas.
He lives here in Vegas.
Okay.
And he and I connected. I showed him some recordings that I'd done back in Little Rock of my own material, songs that I'd written and sang on and played all the instruments on. And he and I started writing songs together, sort of with the idea of trying to get them to other artists or get them placed on TV and film. We had a few placements on MTV, VH1, Discovery Network. And as I was kind of doing that, those placements at first really didn't pay much. They were kind of few and far between. And, I was trying to figure out, I always played in original music bands. Every band that I'd ever been in, every show that I ever did was us playing our own songs that we wrote.
Cool.
And so I wasn't finding a way to make a lot of money when I first moved out here doing that. And so I started waiting tables, man. I worked at a place called Strip Burger. I worked at House of Blues as a waiter there for a little while.
Oh, really?
And then started seeing some of these guys that would come in with an acoustic guitar and play for, 3 or 4 hours. And I go, man, I wonder what these guys are making. And I started kind of going befriending a few of them. And they would tell me, I go, man, that takes me like 2 or 3 days to make that. Man, you're making that in 3 hours.
Right.
I said, I can do that. So I went back home and started doing my homework. I learned hundreds of songs.
Wow.
And started connecting with some of those guys. And House of Blues kind of gave me my first shot as like a solo acoustic cover dude.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it's parlayed pretty nicely from there. I'm on pace to do about 300 shows this year.
Wow. House of Blues. Are you talking about the big stage in the back, the big concert hall back
No,
there?
I play up in the
restaurant?
restaurant. So there's a nice
Yeah.
stage there
Yeah.
too. And I've been.
You work there?
Yeah, I worked there first as a
How
waiter.
cool is it to be
Yeah.
actually on stage?
Yeah.
And, then you know what the other waiters are. You're like,
Yeah.
"What's up?" You know, you got all your friends out in the audience.
It's a lot cooler to be able to have a cocktail up there than to have to serve the
a
cocktails.
cocktail like that.
Yeah, man, it's great. I think too that doing that, being in obviously one of the biggest service industry towns in the world. Where Vegas obviously famous for
Yes.
for restaurants and dining.
Hospitality.
And so hospitality, you meet people from all over the world, and you have to. I think that it sort of transcends into what I do as a musician and my banter and the way I talk and on stage is being able to communicate, having to be able to walk up to a table full of strangers and get them to like you and
Yes.
give you a nice tip. So at the end of the day, that's what we're all doing as musicians. We're up on a stage going, I hope these people like me. You know what I
That's
mean?
it. That's
Yeah.
it. What about who's the fellow you said, the 5 Grammy winner?
Yeah, so Bonza and Bonsai Caruso.
Bonza,
he and
where
I,
did that go?
We worked together for a while, and I think that was kind of where we topped out was with some of the placements on the TV networks, and then he and I are still good friends and work together on here and there on different projects, but then following that, and from playing out here and doing sort of the acoustic cover dude gig, I met the biggest TV placement I've gotten so far is a show on Netflix called The Ranch. And I met the guy that wrote the show at one of my shows. And
Really?
that's the other thing about Vegas. You never know who you're going to be playing for. And the show had just come out. I think maybe they were on season 1 or season 2. And I walked off stage, and there was a group of people, and I went to thank them for hanging out and watching me play. And the fella's name is Jim Patterson that wrote The Ranch. He also wrote a show called 2.5 Men. I didn't know at the time. He came up and introduced himself, said, "Man, do you write any of your own stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He's writing any country? I go, "Yes, I do." He goes, "Well, you got a great voice and great sound. You should send me something." I go, "Well, what do you do? Are you work for a record label or something?"
Okay.
He goes, "No, I'm a TV show writer." I go, "Well, what do you have?" He said, "I've got this show called The Ranch on Netflix." And at the time, I never heard of it.
Right.
I think they just wrapped up their
So
6th
kinda
season,
new.
though, now. Ashton Kutcher, Sam Elliott, Deborah Winger are the actors on the show.
Wow.
And I said, "Well, what else have you done?" And he said, "Well, I had a show for 10 years called 2.5 Men. I know that one."
Know that
He goes, "Give me your card." I said, "Nah." He goes, "No, what do you mean?" I go, "Man, you're drunk. I've had a few." I said, "Give me your card." I said, "You're going to forget me, man." Give me your
Oh,
He goes,
wow,
"I like
yeah.
you, bro." He gave me his card. I emailed him a song that I had just written and recorded probably 2 weeks prior, and they put it on the show.
Wow. What was the name of that one?
That one's called The Wine and the Whiskey.
The Wine and the Whiskey.
Yeah, man.
I heard it. I heard you
Yeah.
play it that night. Yeah.
Don't ever combine those two. Just pick one, the wine or the whiskey.
So Vegas, you're playing here. You got the song on The Ranch. So your own music. Let's talk about that for a second. Where are you at with your own music?
I've actually been, as a result of playing on the Nashville Unplugged show, one of the guys that I mentioned, Travis Howard, who's written hits for Miranda Lambert and Dierks Bentley. He's a great songwriter. He's a phenomenal producer. And he and I, from me playing on the show, and I mean, he's sat next to me several nights at this point now and hearing me play my original tunes. And we got to talk, and he lives in Hollywood now. And so I've actually been going out and working with him in Hollywood on some new music, working on a new EP. We've got some phenomenal LA studio guys playing on it. We got Dwight Yoakam's lead guitar player. We got guys that have played with big pop artists too, like Megan Trainor and Jason Mraz are all playing on my EP.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
It's gonna be good, man.
And so that's coming out. You got your new EP is coming out how soon?
Well, fingers crossed, we'll have it done. I think hopefully by the end of the year.
Okay.
I'm gonna run a campaign. It's not cheap to get Dwight Yoakam's lead guitarist and Megan Trainor and
Right.
Jason Mraz musicians and the studios in Hollywood
Sure,
and everybody.
sure.
So I'm gonna run a funding campaign online and try and raise some money to get it done as quickly as possible.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
With GoFundMe. You said-
GoFundMe, I think that's the one to do.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, all the other ones, you do a funding page, and if you don't hit your mark, you don't get any of it. GoFundMe, if you don't hit your mark, they just go, "Here you go, man, you got that far."
Oh, you got
So,
that much. Oh,
yeah.
is that right? Oh, I didn't
That's
know
what
that.
I've heard anyway. Don't quote me, I'm not an expert on it yet.
Starving musician looking
Right.
that needs funding for his new EP.
Right. I don't
Perfect.
look like I'm starving, man, but yeah.
So Vegas. So Vegas treating you good?
They just treat me wonderful. I mean, there's not a lot of places that you could come out with an acoustic guitar and a microphone and make a healthy living. And if you work hard out here, you can do really, really well. I mean, like I said, I'm on pace for 300 gigs this year. So
You've been to Nashville.
I've been to Nashville several times. I mean, I grew up going there. My family, we used to go on family vacation once a year, always to Nashville. We would go, there was a theme park there called Opryland. We'd go ride roller coasters at Opryland and go to the Grand Ole Opry. And,
With the musicians that are all over Nashville and up and down Broadway, what do you think is the difference between a guy and his guitar here in Vegas making a living and a guy and his guitar out there making a living?
The amount of money that you make.
The money's here.
100%. Yeah.
And-
You gotta think, I mean, you're getting paid by, maybe a bar in Nashville. You're getting paid by Caesars and MGM, here,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
stations, and they can afford a little more, I think.
Oh,
I mean,
that's good.
from what I know, a lot of guys that I know in Nashville, a lot of them are just playing for tips.
That's what
I'm
I
playing
was
for
going,
guaranteed money plus tips.
Nice.
And people can be a little more friendly with their money out here. Somebody wins. I had a guy, I was playing on the strip one night. Guy walks in, was bragging that he just won $91,000 on the poker table and tipped me $2,000 of it. So,
Wow.
thanks, man.
All right. Congratulations on that.
I'll
right?
take it.
Your
Yeah.
sister's still here, I take it?
She's not. She actually moved. She moved out here before I did, and then she got married and moved to Ohio, and then moved back to Little Rock. So she's
Okay.
in Little Rock now.
So
She's
traded-
back
traded-
where she started. Yeah.
Traded places.
Yeah.
All right. Now then, going to LA, you were telling me, I think the other day we were talking about that, the recording down in LA. Is that where you're going to do your EP?
Yeah, there's a studio in Hollywood called the Shark Tank, and it's again, I mean, this Travis Howard is what kind of set all this up for me. But the studio's great. The musicians, I mean, like I said, I play drums, guitar, bass, piano, and I'm pretty particular, especially when it comes to my own
Your
music.
songs, yeah.
And these guys walked into the studio having just a rough mix, I mean, one of the songs I sent them, like, I hit record on my voice memo on my iPhone and played it, and Travis sent it to them, and they came in with sheet music written out for it, and like
Wow.
knocked out my songs in like 2 hours. They're like, "You have any pointers right now?" I'm like, "It's great, man. Good job." Yeah. So I'm really, really excited about working with these guys. I mean, I've just got a rough mix back of one of the songs that we just did last week, and it's the best stuff I've ever done. I'm
Wow.
really excited about it.
Let's talk about where you're gigging now. So where can people see you at?
Man, I've been at House of Blues every Sunday. House of Blues in the Mandalay Bay every Sunday for 4 years. I play 8 to 11 there. I play every Saturday night at a place in the Cosmopolitan. It's a new speakeasy.
These are your
venue.
residencies.
These are residencies, so you
House
catch
of
me at
Blues
these places every
Friday.
week. House of Blues Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah. The Caesar's Palace at the Vista Lounge every Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Alexa's Bar in the Paris every Wednesday.
Okay.
And then every Saturday night at a place called the Barber Shop in
The Barber Shop.
Cosmopolitan. So which is an actual, you walk in, it's an actual barber shop. Guys getting haircuts. And it's a speakeasy. You walk through a janitor door into there's another little door, they tap on it and they slide the slide and they say how many people come in, and you walk into this killer speakeasy live music
Yeah,
venue.
yeah.
So,
Super
and I'm
cool.
there with a full band called the 442s every Saturday night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The full band.
Full band, yeah.
What nights are those?
That's on Saturday nights. I play with a fellow named Ben Carey, who was the former lead guitarist of Lifehouse
Ben,
and
yeah.
Savage Garden. Our drummer is a guy named Chris Reeve, who is the current drummer for Avril Lavigne and Filter. And then our bass player, Eric Rundquist, played with Ben Folds. And then me singing and playing electric guitar on that one. We got
really?
Gibson sponsors us for that night.
Ben's been around town a minute.
Yeah, he has. Ben, I mean, like I said, played with, he's an Aussie guy.
How did you and Ben meet up?
Through a fella named Sean Eiferman, actually. And Sean is
Sean.
kind of one of the guys that's responsible for sort of bringing me into the sort of acoustic cover dude fold.
Oh,
When I told
really?
you I was seeing guys playing, he was one.
Yeah.
And Sean's one of those kind of guys too. I mean, when I hadn't even met him yet. I walked into a bar after a Garth Brooks concert at T-Mobile, and he and Ben Carey and a guy named Gigi Ganaway, who was Mariah Carey's drummer all through the 90s, were playing a trio set. I mean, the whole place that lets out of T-Mobile goes in is seeing them, so the place is packed. And I remember sitting back watching these guys going, these guys are good. And I walked up and I think, maybe threw a $20 bill in the tip jar. And I turned to walk away, and Sean goes, hey man, I'm looking around. Who's this they're talking to? He goes, dude with the tattoos. And I'm like, me? He goes, you a singer? I go, yeah. He goes, come on. And I'm like, I've never met this guy before, and he invites me to get up on stage, and
No
I think
kidding.
we sang a Tom Petty song, and then after that, we've been pals ever since.
No kidding, yeah.
And
Sean,
he
he's
sort
a
of brought
legend
me
in
the
this
fold.
town.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah,
man.
everybody knows Sean.
Yeah.
We'll get him here one day too. Talk to him.
Come on,
Sean's
Sean.
Super cool. Come on,
Yeah.
Sean. So yeah. I want to hear about the tattoos in a minute, and
Oh,
then I
man.
want to hear a song in a minute. So we're gonna take a little pause for the cause and talk about the future also, and what's next for the Mr. Justin Carter. All right. We're here with Justin Carter, live from Las Vegas, here with My Vegas Magazine. And Justin Carter here. We've been chit-chatting, getting to know Justin up close and personal. I didn't know you had a sister here in Vegas, and a lot of folks didn't know you're from Little Rock. We knew you were from somewhere because you got that little twang.
How
and that
y'all
soul.
doing? Yeah, man.
But we've been talking for a minute about a few things. I'd like to get into maybe some. I'd like to talk about that. We left off on the tats. Everybody I know has got tatted up has got usually stories. Are there stories behind your tats?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my shirt on for this segment.
Okay,
but,
all right.
But yeah, I mean, I've got. I'll tell you, my favorite tattoo is this one right here. This was my great grandmother's upright piano.
No.
And it's been in my family for
Look at that.
probably 5-6 decades, something
Really?
like that. And it's the piano. My great grandmother lived with us in the house of my parents and me. And I've got 4 sisters and
Okay.
a brother. Yeah. One of which I just met last year. That's a whole nother story.
Okay.
But my grandma, my great grandmother actually lived in the house with us, and she was a phenomenal pianist.
Mm-hmm.
She even had like a little old lady band that played at nursing homes and
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Yeah. But it was the piano that I grew up learning how to play on. And my great grandmother passed back in the mid '90s, and we had it in the house. My parents moved from the house that we grew up in to another house in North Little Rock, Arkansas. But my little brother bought the house that we grew up in, and now he's got the piano. I mean, so it's going down generations.
Wow.
And my little brother's got 3 kids, so maybe one of them will get it, or I'll haul it out to Vegas and my son can have it.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that's cool. Now
Yeah,
on the other
yeah,
side,
few-
what's over there?
yeah.
I see a guitar.
Well, I got a guy holding an acoustic guitar. Actually, my little sister designed this one for me. This is a painting that she did. I remember when I went to get this tattoo done, I told my tattoo artist I wanted it to look like a painting. So I got the guy holding the acoustic guitar. I got Little Rock, Arkansas skyline there. Just big enough to fit on that little spot on my arm, right? Got a guy dancing with a lady here, and he's leaning her over, and he's playing her like a guitar.
Oh wow.
Tiger Lily. I got all kinds, man. They go all the way up.
Oh, do they? Well,
Yeah.
all right. And there's a story behind every one. I love that. But tunes. Let's talk about some of your tunes now. You got the Wine and the Whiskey.
Wine and the Whiskey is the most recent thing that I released, and that's the purpose of going back into the studio and working on this EP is the idea is to get 6 of my original songs done with me playing and singing on them, and get them out there to the world. I mean, I think that every guy that plays in the cover scene, their real dream is to not be playing somebody else's songs, but
Right.
be playing their own songs. And the crazy thing for me is, I'm in my mid-30s, and I've been playing since I was a kid. And growing up in Little Rock and growing up around the different cultures and everywhere that I've toured and played, and I like all kinds of music. I love rock and roll. I love R&B. I like classics. I like Motown. I like country. I like pop. I like classical. I like jazz. And it's hard when you're a youngster and growing up into becoming an adult to sort of figure out in all these genres of music, where do you stand out? Where does your voice sound the best?
Right.
You might like all this different stuff, but is it where you belong as a
I like
singer?
that.
And it's taken me a while to figure out what I'm the best at, where I stand out. And I think that with the Wine and the Whiskey was a great example of where I could shine. And really, again, it's sort of it's a throwback to where I'm from and the culture that I grew up around, and that sort of sound that represents the South. And I think that's the idea of going and doing this EP is to be able to sort of encapsulate that, and and hopefully great things will come.
And
out in the world.
what's it about, the Wine and the Whiskey?
The Wine and the Whiskey, I was kind of sort of having a laugh with Travis Howard, the guy that's doing the recording and producing it, is that some of the best songs I write are some of the saddest songs. I mean, the Wine and the Whiskey is definitely not like it's not really an uplifting tune by any means.
Okay.
It's about having a hard time with somebody that you love, and coping with it by drinking too much.
Well,
That's
never happened to me.
But the chorus, it says, "I'm in over my head, and the wine and the whiskey won't save me from any of it." So it's recognizing that that's not the answer to your problems.
Oh, okay.
But saying that you gotta,
I'm in it,
you gotta
but
try
I
to
know
rise
this isn't
above
the
that.
answer,
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. Super cool there. So you're playing like all over town. You got 300 gigs a year here in Vegas. You
yeah.
got this going on. Let's talk about the wrapping it up here. The future, like what's the big picture, the big dream? Where do you want to go with your career?
I mean, I would
What would
love
be like? Oh man, if this is what I can see happening.
Yeah.
I'll call that success.
Yeah, headlining T-Mobile Arena, man. That'd be success.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Gotta keep that alive.
Yeah.
Keep it alive.
I mean, again, I think that the material that we're recording in Hollywood is it's the best stuff I've ever done. The songs are great. When you got guys like Travis Howard, who's written #1 country hits, and Danny Myrick, and these people that have been massively successful songwriters, looking at me going, "This stuff is really, really good."
Good.
Then I think that I think sky's the limit. So
yeah.
we'll see.
That'll fire you up right there.
Yeah.
What about is it all country?
I mean, it's kind of like what you said.
Or your style?
It's southern. It's just like
Southern-
country
southern
soul,
country.
man. Yeah.
Soulful
it's
country, yeah.
Soulful country, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, a
yeah.
lot of stuff that's in country radio. The Luke Bryans, the Blake Sheltons, the Florida Georgia Line. That's that's pop country.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really where I fit in. But you got guys like Chris Stapleton, Old Dominion, and Brothers Osborne that are have that soulful, gritty, swampy southern
Yeah.
sound. That's what I'm doing.
What have you got a title for the new EP yet?
I don't know. I just call it Justin Carter. I don't want to confuse it. Just know me, and then here we go. We'll go from there.
Got it. Wow, that's cool. And let's see. So then, you said something earlier about getting. What are you going to do year after year over the next 5 or 10 years? You're just going to keep recording and keep pumping out your own tunes?
We'll see. I think that when this EP is done, and we, I've been in the music industry business for a long time. And I've acquired a pretty big network of people that have been successful in my field, and I've never really tapped anybody on the shoulder and been like, "Hey, man, I've never asked you for a favor." But when this EP's done, everybody get ready. I'm tapping everybody on the shoulder. I'm sending a text out, give me a repost, talk about it,
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'll continue playing in Vegas because, I mean, from where I'm from a kid from Little Rock, Arkansas, doing what I do out here and making the money that I make and playing as much as I do, the places that I play, I mean, I've made it in a sense already.
I love it. In Little Rock, how often do you get back home then?
I try to go back once a year. My parents still live there. I've got a little brother and sister out there, and now big sis just moved back too. And I've got a 6-year-old son, so we try to go back and let him hang with the grandparents and the cousins at least once a year. We try to avoid Arkansas in the summer because if you think Vegas summer is bad, you don't know nothing until you get down Little Rock, man.
So your son's here?
He is, yeah.
So you're doing the daddy thing here?
I'm also doing the daddy thing.
Oh,
here.
man, you're full-time. You got 2 jobs.
Yeah, man.
You got
Yeah.
music and the little guy. What's his name?
His name is Lane Ross Carter.
Lane Ross Carter.
Yeah.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah,
And he's 6?
6, yeah.
So what's that,
Pushing
first
7.
grade or something like that?
Going into first grade, yeah.
Wow, good for
Yeah,
you, man.
He's a sweetheart.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, I want to hear more about that, too. But you know what? We're going to hear more right now. And we're going to take a little pause for the cause here. And we're going to come back. And I'd like to hear you do a tune. Can you do a tune for us?
True, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe the wine and the whiskey?
I think we'll do the newest one that I just said. It's called Don't Forget Me.
Don't forget me.
It's a
Don't
nice
forget.
one.
And
Yeah,
we'll be
right.
right back.
Yeah.
Right after this with the amazing Mr. Justin Carter.
There you go. Cool. Ready when you all are.
All right. Let's hit it.
Sudden desert rain, an old familiar pain, it comes crashing down on me again. And I try to fix it up by filling up my cup, and maybe that's where all of this began. Ooh. I stare into his head, asking Jesus, tell me where I can't be who you need me to be. you should go, baby, I already know. You feel like you gave me everything, but darling, please don't forget me. Feels like we wasted time, like living separate lives. Every hello met with a goodbye. Your heart is heavy now, my voice won't make a sound. It kills me every time I see you cry. I stare into his head, asking Jesus, tell me where I can't be who you need me to be. If you think you should go, baby, I already know. You feel like you gave me everything, but darling, please don't forget me. Whatever happens in all the sadness, I remember staring into the sky, asking Jesus, tell me where I can't be who you need me to be. If you think you should go, no. You feel like you gave me everything, but darling, please don't forget me. And darling, please don't forget me. And darling, please don't forget me. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Justin Carter. All right, don't forget him. Don't forget Justin
Don't forget
Carter.
me.
Don't forget him, Justin Carter. So thank you, Justin. My Vegas Magazine. I appreciate you coming down, and we'll get together a little bit later on. But for now, say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you around the way.
Bye, thank y'all. Cheers.